not a YouTuber, just like making videos. And this video is going to be a continuation of my video. I'm sick of the black community. And in that video, I touched based on how blacks have allowed the criminal underworld have become so normalized and popular. Like we have set back and allowed this attitude that being a criminal is a cool thing and so forth. You got people crip walking and how we use drug dealer slang in our lexicon, like pull up or re-up and so forth. And I was talking to somebody on Facebook, a dude named T Ben, who periodically watches my videos, and he was stating about how, like in the movie Harlem Nights, that's where our criminal underbelly should be. And I agree with him. I also throw in the movie Hoodlum. I'm like, you're always going to have this criminal underclass in all societies, especially all throughout Europe and so forth. Even if there was a black man at the head of every household, you're still going to have people dabbling, still going to have pimps, hustlers, and bustlers and so forth. Even children of pastors and preachers and cops get involved in that world. But I'm like, it is childish and almost embarrassing how some synonymous blacks have become with criminal. I'm like, we've become, the frontier of crime here in America. I'm like, I'm carrying it with a badge of honor. I'm like, and it also breaks my heart when I see kind of like rappers. Like one of my favorite rappers is Tretch from Naughty by Nature. I'm like, he's so underrated. But he said something about that if he wasn't rapping, that he'll be in your house. He'll be breaking into your house. That's not a cool thing to say. I'm like, basically you're saying that I understand you want to give hip hop props that it got you out of a life of crime. And a lot of rappers say this. I'm like, so being a rap star got you out of, like a regular job couldn't get you out of crime. But being a platinum selling artist, going touring out the world, that would have to get you out there. And then people, when a lot of black celebrities talk about, oh yeah, back when I used to run the streets or whatever, you're letting other races know that, hey, each black person has a period where they're going to be out there robbing and stealing and so forth. Some of them may get up out of that, but they're going to have that phase, like the terrible twos or the terrible 20s and so forth. And if you read Malcolm X's autobiography, there is the world of crime and the world of tax-paying citizens is very clear. You know what I'm saying? There is a fine line between there. Matter of fact, in the world of crime, even though black people and whites aren't equals, the racial lines aren't defined as in the working class world, or the legit world. You see what I'm saying? Because you got people, dope pushers, pimps, prostitutes, number runners, and if everybody wants to get money illegally, yeah, a lot of people, blacks and whites are going to rub elbows and so forth. So therefore, in that world of crime, which Malcolm X was part of for a certain time of life, I'm like, the white hand needed the black hand. That's how it is. That's why when you see in the movie Malcolm X, or even the movie Shawshank Redemption, or any movie where it goes into a penitentiary back in the 40s, the 30s, and so forth, that the white population is dominant. You know what I'm saying? There is like in the movie Shawshank Redemption, I think there was only one black inmate, Morgan Freeman. Nobody object to that. Nobody would say like, why ain't there more black people in jail? I'm like, in Shawshank Redemption. No, they said most people say like, yeah, white people were the the dominant populace. God dang. I'm talking about crime and somebody's getting a car broken into. But white people being the dominant populace, so of course you're going to see more white people in prison. Now things are different. Now if you see a movie, the prison scene is going to be dominated by Latinos and especially blacks. And I can't say that it's completely unrealistic, and so forth. But just what I'm saying, going into our criminal culture and how it has turned into a complete circus. I think about, I grew up on army bases, in the military. And there's criminal activity all in the military. You don't hear about it. The military has done an A1 job of keeping what the soldiers do, illegal activity, under wraps. I didn't even say, me living on military base, I barely hear about it. I know, like, for instance, Jaquan Phoenix, whatever his name is, the guy who starred in Joker, was in a movie called Buffalo Soldiers. I don't know if this movie's done, but I don't think it ever was released or was just released to the video or whatever. But it was a movie that was supposed to come out in theaters. It had Ed Harris in it too, and it was called Buffalo Soldiers, and it was about the illegal activity of U.S. Army soldiers getting involved in drugs, selling weapons to the enemies, to foreign identities and so forth. And a lot of people object to it because it's called Buffalo Soldiers, and Buffalo Soldiers were the black military unit that was killing Native Americans. But the Army, they did not want this movie to be released. The movie was downplayed and so forth, because one, it came out during 9/11 and they didn't want our military to look bad. But the U.S. government does not want our military to look bad. They keep all that stuff. There's all kind of soldiers out there selling classified information, selling military hardware to civilians and so forth, going overseas, getting involved in drugs. You barely hear about it. I'm like, but that's how it should be. They're like, you don't need to know. I'm like, even when growing up on military base, I know that like statutory rape or these GIs getting involved in underage girls, that was a big problem. I'm like, some of these bases, you got all these men, there's not enough women for them. So a lot of times they're looking at their own superiors' daughters. You know what I'm saying? And there was a lot of 14-year-old girls, 15-year-old girls getting drilled by the drill sergeants. I hear them talking high school. That's why some of these girls, they only fucking with the GIs because the GIs got that money. They don't pay rent. They living in the barracks. So as a high school student, I was a middle-aged student. I was had to compete with the GIs for when it came to women and so forth. But you don't hear. I was telling this to somebody. They were shocked. Like, wow, that goes on. I'm like, yeah, you don't hear about it because the Army keeps that on wraps. You know what I'm saying? You're not. You won't even hear about a U.S. soldier rapping about it. And I think about the Italian mafia. I'm like, the Italian mafia still exists. They're still operating. They may not be as big and as dangerous as they once was, or as devastating as they once was, but they're operating. But imagine the mafia in their heyday having Liberace or Frank Sinatra, Fred Astaire or whatever, talking about crime and mob stories in their music and so forth. It doesn't make any sense. But we have rap music, which they call it a culture, and it's very dangerous to call. I'm like, rappers literally tell you how to cook crack. Cook crack, sell drugs, go out there and hustle, pimps, prostitutes. I'm like, this whole world, the criminal underbelly existed before hip hop. Hip hop to me is like beatboxing and breakdancing, and graffiti art, because that world came in with rap and rapping and so forth. But rap, you take the sex and violence out of a lot of rap music. A lot of these rappers won't sell shit, won't sell half a CD, won't sell half their album. You know what I'm saying, on the digital platform and so forth. And really, the real players and pimps, the real, because hip hop did do a lot. I'm not saying that it was the only culprit, but it was a major factor in stabilizing crime in the black community. A major factor. I'm like, because we live in a world of you know what I'm saying, of celebrity, of you know what I'm saying, celebrity worship and so forth. But the OG gangbangers and players, they didn't even listen to rap like that. They was listening to Isaac Hayes, Bloodstone, Maze, just old R&B music, Isley Brothers and so forth. They listened to the stuff that the 90s gangster rappers sampled until rap got so big and it was just so everywhere. And since rappers claim to be criminals, the criminals themselves have came up and said that, okay, I want to have stake in this. Yeah, and I also want to talk about Charleston White. This is an interesting fellow. And he had some beef with some Asians. Some Asian people was talking about using the N-word and all this other stuff. And Charleston White, he objected to that. And he was talking about, they ain't niggas. They said they ain't niggas. Well, yeah, they're not. But you know what I'm saying? They are street degenerates. Street degenerates, since the black man has become the face of the modern criminal. You know what I'm saying? And I want to stress the word, the modern criminal, that other, whites and Asians or whatever, they're going to so hard imitate black people because we became synonymous with it. And the reason why, one, people like Blasco 100 and Charleston White, gangbangers or ex-gangbangers. I like Charleston White, but that's who we tend to gravitate to their conversations. Nobody want to listen to a teacher or a black engineer speak. That's too boring. But still, you don't have to be black to be a low-life degenerate, scum, uneducated gimp. I understand where Charleston's coming from because they're using the N-word, but problem is, the black criminal culture has dragged black people down with it. To the point where, saying the N-word that's supposed to be our word, street dudes refer to their white chums and their Asian chums that's part of that world, or what they refer to them as niggers. That N-word don't mean nothing anymore. I feel that you should have a license to say the N-word. That word is dangerous. I'm like, not everybody should be able to use that word. A lot of black people who are uneducated, who are still mentally lazy, who are mental sloths, should not be using that word. They use that word around other criminal scumbags. And then they adapt that word. They'll, a black dude will come up to their white homie, be like, "What up, my nigga?" So of course they're gonna use that word. Black criminals, they're like rodeo clowns, man. I'm not talking about all of them, but a lot of them are messy. And we should tell. I'm like, that type of world is not. It's not. I would say black people make better police officers than criminals. Why would a black person be a criminal? You're already going to be, profiled as a criminal. It's hard for a black person to maneuver here in America. That's why black people have been having a hard time playing Pokemon Go. Even Mace, the rapper Mace, said that no black man should join a gang. And I applaud him for that. But he shouldn't have to say that. That should be obvious. Back in the days, there was a lot of rappers that diss gangs. Matter of fact, 2 Live Crew had a song called Fuck a Gang. Now all of a sudden, even though rappers kind of claim to be gangsters, they sort of diss the idea of Crips and Bloods. You know, now being a Crip and Blood is just cool. It's mainstream. You know, and so forth. Kumo D said, I never had to run from the Ku Klux Klan and I shouldn't have to run from a black man. But that's all I want to leave it at. Thanks for watching and never stop learning.